JR was the kind of person that every time you were with him, you left feeling better or lighter.
He was a great guy. His love for life, his quirkiness.
He was always putting off this very tough exterior. He usually had on a white ribbed tank top and his leather coat. But when you were around him, you knew how vulnerable he actually was.
He always had a great attitude. He was a fighter. On the outside, he looks tough and hard. After even just, a hello, you realize he's the biggest, sweetest teddy bear of a guy and always looking out for his people.
He didn't have a whole lot of people that he let into his circle, but when he did, he watched your back. He was out there looking out for you. It's also hard to talk about JR because he was a friend, he's such a good person, and he's greatly missed.
We met JR in November of 2020 when he came in as a participant in our program. He had no emergency contact. He had no next of kin to notify if something were to happen. He was tall and lanky and very, very skinny and very, very sick.
He had HIV and AIDS, and so that was something that we were working on very heavily with to make sure that he was taking his meds on time to stay healthy as he could be. And so that was something that I took on whenever I started. And so him and I started seeing each other daily. He was such an easy person to get along with that, after the first couple of interactions with him, we were fast friends. We took him to radiation. We did it in the mornings, and we did about 3 weeks of every day going and picking him up, taking him over there, dropping him back off. After that 3 weeks, he was declining and not able to keep weight on, so they were not wanting to continue radiation. They felt like he just wasn't going to be able to withstand it anymore.
We'd known that the day was coming. We didn't know when. And it was a Friday afternoon that Jacqueline called and told me they finally got him set up at Clare House, and that they expected probably that weekend would be when he would pass.
The first time he came into the hotel, I had no idea that 4 years later, that this would be somebody that I would be sitting next to in their hospital bed as they were passing. But in all the world, in all of his circles, our team of 7 was with him in the end, and we were his people. I remember just watching the way that Jacqueline and Chelsea cared for JR in the end, and the relationship that they had built with him, and really honoring his wishes and honoring what that looked like in the end. And I remember thinking, they are grieving him like they are losing a family member. I think we forget that a lot of times when we're talking about people experiencing homelessness, that a lot of times they have lost that safety net, they have lost that community. And so when we are able to go in and rebuild it back, that's something really special.
One of our neighbors putting their trust in you, that means so much, because a lot of times their trust has been broken over and over and over again. It's just really, really special that he allowed us to walk through that with him, that he trusted us to do that. We're giving our best first, and we're providing dignity, and I think that is a huge piece of what we were able to provide for JR and for all of our neighbors, is dignity.
The hardest part of being homeless is not bug bites or sunburns or the cold. The hardest part is living and dying and being wholly unknown. And so we want to make sure that nobody feels that. One of the things that we have committed to doing is keeping a list of our friends. When they pass away, we know their birth date, we know their death date, but we also know the story of them and what their life was. And it doesn't come down to them in their homelessness. That is just a piece. There's so much more beauty to that person that we had the honor of walking with. And so we keep that list, and we are sad every time we have to add to it, but we also feel such honor to have known them and to have the ability to call them a friend.